Alrighty, it's that time again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Okay. What's my thing need to? There we go. Alright, let's see what we got here. So we have SMX. Very nice move from Wednesday. I didn't actually see this move. We have KWM moving. Bit of a cheaper stock, though. Really high volume. Yeah, very high float, 63 million. That plus the lower price, not quite the greatest. Hope everybody is doing well this morning. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. ADTX, this is a stock that just has a history of reverse and flush. Even from this, it's just been quite a sell-off. Yeah, we're seeing mixed reports between brokers again here. 130,000 only on Lightspeed and only 550,000 on Thinkorswim. So that explains why we're seeing pretty big jumps here. This company's well known for dilution, so there could be opportunity. I've played this in the past and had good results. This is definitely one, though, to be careful and mindful of secondary offerings on. Because any major pop that holds, the company has a reasonable chance to offer dilution. I don't even have to check the filings to know that. I mean, this had a nice move here, but there was no news on it. So this was kind of random. Pretty big move, too, from 350 to almost 6, all the way back down to 350. So kind of crazy how volatile this is without any news backing it. Volume was actually quite significant, too. Right? If we're assuming that the float is actually like under 1 million, then this volume is quite intense. And this resolution makes sense with this kind of volume. So I'd be more inclined to believe this is actually under 1 million. Or at least closer to that figure. Unfortunately, nothing on scanners showing anything hot or new. Let's see here. Good morning, Litstar. Don't want any parts of XMS too high priced, too big spreads, recipe for disaster if you're not careful. Yeah, definitely. I saw it. I mean, I would trade it if it gave opportunity. This setup doesn't look the greatest. You are right. This is kind of similar to SPRC, except where it actually had resolution, right? Because you have this kind of death spiral. I mean, it was $60,000 a share like a year ago. So yeah, the stock is very, very brutal. I've tried trading this in the past, and I think I had bad results with it. But yeah, this thing has just kind of been bleeding and bleeding. So even though this looks incredibly impressive, this move, if you look at the grand scheme of things, this stock has actually been doing terrible. Not to say it can't go up another 100%. It's definitely possible. But we do have to realize, too, this stock is very heavily diluted. And because the stock has popped up so aggressively, there's definitely a real chance of dilution happening here. Yeah, I would want to see continued volume and a very nice setup. And right now, we don't really have either of that. Right, we're having like 20,000. And I do understand, because it's a higher price stock, 20,000 volume is more significant than it would be on like a $3 stock. So I understand this needs to be taken as a more ambitious value than it actually is. But yeah, I'm just I don't really like the idea of buying it around here. Not to mention there's nothing live driving it. It's from Wednesday. So yeah, I'm not really liking that too much at the moment. Honestly, ADTX is probably the closest, but again, there's just no catalyst driving it. So it would be a pure short squeeze kind of play. Not really what I'm looking for. KWM kind of selling off here. KTTA. Yeah, I saw KTTA did this big rally too. Right, this was a sub $1 stock. I saw it yesterday kind of moving here. Right, we saw some volume starting to come in right towards the end of the day on Friday or Wednesday. But I wasn't that interested because it was just too cheap, right? 38 cents. And then we just saw this action. And when I was trading during the day, I saw this coming up on the scanners. So I saw it was moving. Certainly interesting. This sudden haul. Is this just... Okay, no, that's just market close. For some reason, it's just flatline. But yeah, I'm not super interested in this either. Very, very low float. At least according to this one. Yeah, so we have a discrepancy here too, right? 1.3 million on Lightspeed. We've got... Where was it? I thought I saw it over here. Yeah. 7.4 million on Thinkorswim. So very mixed results on what the float actually is on this thing. Bit of a red flag. Yeah, this doesn't have any news on it, so I'm not really that interested. QNTM kind of creeping higher. Actually looks very interesting on the daily, right? You had this kind of continual breakdown and now you're just having this huge inflow. But at the same time, it's been just kind of grinding higher. So just right away, I would say that this probably has a higher float. 2.3 million. That's actually lower than I thought. Yeah, this is saying like 3.8 million, 2.3 million. It kind of surprises me given this kind of churn we saw, but the volume was very high on the daily. It's kind of weird discrepancy here. But yeah, I appreciate all you guys tuning in here. See, we're at 18 people watching. If you're liking the stream, please do leave a like. Helps me get this out to more people. Unfortunately, we don't really have nothing really super interesting on the scanners this morning. Do have to keep in mind too, we are coming off of Thanksgiving. And on top of that, today I believe is a half day. So we may just see lighter volume today in general. I have kind of accepted that going into this. So if we don't see much action today, that's honestly kind of the par for today. If we do see something great, I'm not really expecting too much action. Yeah, Beat's kind of moving too. Again, it's a penny stock. And there's no news on it. Well, no live news anyway. Yeah, probably not that interested in this. It's just too cheap. Not to mention, Lightspeed says it's 34 million. Yeah, 27 million. Yeah, so this has a higher float too. Higher float. No live news. QNTM 3.4 million float on Weeble. Yeah, sounds about right? Thinkorswim is saying 3.8 million. Lightspeed is saying 2.3 million. So we could say it's probably around 3 million or so, somewhere in that range. That would be a reasonable estimate. But just the way it's kind of moved, it's just very, very strange to behave in this manner. Right, we're having like 100,000. It could just be the case, though, that this is just a very dead stock, right? I was referencing how the volume was very irregular, but actually, I mean, there's actually only 1.2 million. I was expecting this to be higher just because of the huge relative volume spike, but the reality is this was only getting like under 100,000 a day anyway. Yes, okay, no, it makes a bit more sense why this only churned. It had high relative volume, but only had like 1 million. Okay, so that's actually more reasonable. Never mind, I kind of take that back. I didn't recognize that the volume was actually still super low, despite the volume spike. Yeah, it's looking like it's going to be a slow start today. See if anything comes out at 7:30. It can maybe spice things up a bit. But yeah, I am planning a collab with someone, and we're gonna be trying to make a video this weekend. So hopefully that goes through well. Looking forward to that. Not gonna mention who it is here, but you'll find out. Yeah, there's just nothing really moving today. Just gotta be patient. The range on QNTM is interesting to me. All right, so there's no news, but this thing has gone right from like 1430 down to 11. So this has quite a lot of range. ADTX, best thing to me with high relative volume and clear resistance at $4. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I agree. I think it's the best opportunity. But the problem is, it's no news catalyst, or we've completely retraced the move. Like, it would have to do so much to be back in play. Yeah, I'm not super interested in it. I agree, though. It is probably the closest thing to in play. Just not that nice looking. I think more likely we're going to see a news catalyst get attention than see this thing recover. It's kind of my thinking. Yeah, the only stocks that I really even have on watch are ADTX and SMX. But yeah, like neither of these really feel like they're going to be in play. ADTX is probably the closest. Yeah, I think for the rest of the session, a good mentality is just if you see opportunity, great. But just recognize today is a half day. It's probably going to be a slower day. So I don't really have high anticipation, high expectations. I don't really have that. I mean, we're already in a cold market. So having a half day, slower day in a cold market, can't really expect much. I mean, we did have SMX, right? So there's always the possibility. But I'm not holding my breath. ADTX is kind of thick to me. Seems like it's going to be a tall task to even get 15 cents. What does the spread look like? I mean, I'm looking at the spread. It doesn't look that thick. Right? I mean, clearly we're 1 penny by 1 penny. We've got like 2,000 on each side, roughly. Maybe like 3,000 on the high ends. Right, they got 5,000 at the 10-cent mark. It's not super thick. Not super thick, but I'm wondering if maybe, because we're looking at this from a perspective of 130,000 shares or 600,000 shares. So this feels a little bit thicker than that, but not so much. Like, just looking at the level 2, I would assume it's like somewhere around 1 million, maybe 2 million, because this is a pretty thin spread, if I'm being honest. Not the thinnest, right? Especially for like momentum. But we are only seeing 50,000 shares of volume too, right? If this goes to like 400,000, this kind of spread won't stand a chance. You'll see 15 plus cent moves. But yeah, I think the main issue is really just the volume. This volume is, it's good. It's just not amazing. I mean, even this kind of little move here was about 15 cents. What was this move? This move was like 30, 35, 40 cents. Okay, we got 5 minutes till the half hour. We'll see if anything comes out. Yeah, the big issue is this just doesn't really have a catalyst driving it. I guess I can check this real quick while I'm waiting. Get some actual confirmation here. Yeah, so they have a shelf registration from June. Very big shelf registration. Up to 50 million shares of common stock. So that could be part of why this isn't wanting to run super hard too. Just... yeah. Made a nice move over $4. Yeah. I wouldn't even really say this was that crazy. I mean, there was some volume. It wasn't nothing. Right, 370 to 450. Yeah, that is pretty solid actually. Yeah, 80-cent move. A couple minutes. Very interesting how the same volume can make an 80-cent move, but then the next day the same volume is giving like a 15-20 cent move. See, I would say probably for whatever reason, maybe there was a news catalyst behind this, perhaps. Doesn't look like it. Yeah, so I was going to say maybe just the market makers got out of the way when they saw this volume coming in. Because you'll see that a lot where market makers get out of the way. Because it feels to me like the market makers are in play right now. They're just kind of churning this. Right, because this volume, while this volume isn't super high, relative to some of the other moves and the float, I feel like this should be moving slightly more. Right, like this volume for this kind of move, for example. We're seeing similar volume to this, but the actual range is much smaller. That's why I love this stream. You always get perspectives that are thoughtful. Well, and I try to be fair too, right? Like, I try to think of a reasonable argument, but I also, not to be like pessimistic, but when you give an argument that doesn't align with what I think, I just try to make the strongest point against you while also acknowledging you. Because I don't think it's really nice just to say, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and then just don't really try to critique it or add something to it. But I also try to be thoughtful. Like, I understand where your argument's coming from with this, right? Like, I agreed that I think this is probably the best contender for a move, at least at the moment. Albeit, it's kind of out of play at the moment. And there does seem to be some strange price action going on with it. You notice that too, the market makers are making a killing. Yeah, just a killing on this kind of stuff. And these range-bound moves, even with SPRC, right, from Wednesday, you got to think back from this move when we were seeing like 700, 800,000 volume per minute, and it was ranging like this. Think about how much money the market makers were making on that, right? Several like 500,000 plus volume per minute, and it was just ranging like crap. Yeah, market makers love this kind of chop action. And you could even maybe argue that market makers are more involved in a cold market, but they kind of step to the side in a hot market, which kind of just almost amplifies the hot market move, right? Because the market makers aren't creating that spread in a hot market, that actually just kind of accelerates the hot market, in a sense. But yeah, we'll see if we got anything on the scanners for the half hour. Nothing popping up yet, but usually my scanners are a little bit delayed, so they might take like 2 minutes or something to populate. I see beat on the scanner is still kind of curling up here. Yeah. Still way too cheap for me, though. Someone likes pennies, though. This is probably a close to in play setup if you're looking for like a high break for around $1. Yeah, it doesn't really look like we're having anything. Yeah, 7:30 a.m. indeed looking quiet. This might just turn into a bust of a day. Kind of curious if we're even going to see any relatively good moves. It could be the case, too, that because it's Black Friday and we just came off of Thanksgiving, maybe some of these companies will be holding back some headlines. We'll have to see. But yeah, it's looking like 7:30 is a bust as well. Watch SMX go to $70 later. Yeah, no, I mean, if it moved that much, right? This definitely feels like it was some kind of short squeeze, right? I mean, this definitely looks like a short squeeze. And if they don't announce dilution or anything, like certainly I could see this going higher, right? Because I don't know the float off the top of my head on this. It's saying 1 for Lightspeed. That's very obviously wrong. On Thinkorswim, it's saying 1 million. So if this is only a 1 million float, yeah, I mean, this could totally go up to like 70 or something. Some massive short squeeze. But just given how this company dilutes, knowing that at any point they could just announce a secondary offering, to me, and I think a lot of other people, that's going to scare them into holding this for like a squeeze that high. Interesting to see if it actually does anything, though. Glad I came into today with low expectations. What are your thoughts on position size in cold market versus a hot one, specifically for the small account? So, I mean, you think about how I normally trade in a cold versus hot market. So in a hot market, I'll be taking 15, maybe 20 trades like on the high end in a hot market. Right, so I'll be giving very high exposure to stocks in a hot market versus the cold market. I would say normally I have around five trades, but especially the last few weeks, it's been just so cold to where I just don't even want to do that. You'll see me some of these days, I've been just taking less than 5 trades. And I really like to expose myself to the market just to try and get a temperature read on it. But lately, I just haven't had really what I thought were any good opportunities. But yes, I have experimented with position sizing. I like Ross's style a lot, where he'll kind of poke it and prod it with very small size, and then he'll kind of like use that cushion to increase aggression on the day. And I think that's a good way to go about it. I've experimented too with trying to reduce size in a cold market versus making increased size in a hot market. I think there's definitely justification for that too. For a small account, that's not as easy, because if you want to expose yourself to more trades in a hot market and increase size, you're going to run into capital problems. Like the capital I've been using the last few weeks, even though I have a decent amount of money in the account, I'm only using like 1/5 or 1/10 of my money. So I'm really underutilizing the cash I have in the account right now. And that's mainly just because I'm giving so little exposure to these stocks. Now, there are some instances where I am downsizing, right? If you notice, there are a lot of times where I'll take only half size, 50 shares, instead of the regular 100. And the opposite is kind of true in a hotter market, where you might see me going in with 100 more often, and sometimes even pushing for 200 on the trades. Like, give an example. I don't know if you've really noticed me say this much, but I have said this quite a bit, where I'll be like, okay, I'm getting in with half size here. If we see good resolution, then I'm going to add 50. So I go back to normal size. And then, more often than not, it feels like I'm saying, okay, this isn't giving the resolution I'm having. I'm just going to keep 50 shares. I've noticed that I've been saying and doing that a lot, and I think that's fine. It's just worth recognizing that I'm not seeing the conviction and follow through of a hot market to give me that confidence to take the higher size. If that makes sense. But yeah, that's just what I would do. I personally think increasing exposure is good for a hot market. But yeah, this cold market, I've been really cutting back. Yeah, I saw KTTA. There was a reason I didn't like it. Was it the float? Why didn't I like this? I mean, it is close to $1, so it's a little bit cheaper. This isn't terrible, though. Why did I dislike this so much? I mean, maybe when I looked at it at 7, it would have been under $1 at that point. So that might have been part of what drove me away. 7 million shares on Thinkorswim. So we're seeing a discrepancy. So possible dilution. Very interesting daily chart. Right, you kind of have this weird instance where we were trading kind of sideways. It does this random rug, and then we just see a spike after. Bit interesting on that. Yeah, it's not even up that much. I think it was the volume too. Yeah, so the volume has picked up, but at the time the volume was a little bit lighter here. Volume has picked up somewhat. And yeah, that's true too, yeah, because if it's only up 7% now, when I was looking at this back here, it was red on the day. Yeah, that's why I wasn't into it. But yeah, very good call out on the only 7%. This thing is barely up at all. Nice curl here, but yeah. Cheaper price, questionable, shares outstanding. Very, very, honestly, this volume actually isn't that impressive too for a $1 stock. 100,000 when it's $1. Should probably have more than that. I mean, this candle did have more volume, though. We are seeing the volume kind of flow in here. Yeah, we're looking at like 300,000 this minute. Yeah, I mean, or no, this is 5 minutes. Ooh, this is 5 minutes? Okay, yeah, this is actually a little bit worse than I expected then. Yeah. Even though this candle was very nice, only 168,000 on the minute. When I'm looking at this volume now, I'm like, okay, this looks a lot worse. I thought we were looking at the 1 minute. Yeah, this volume's quite light. Even for this candle, this is a bit light. Hmm. Man, bit sleepy today. Didn't get to sleep till late last night. Good morning to those of you coming in here. See, we're almost at 30 people watching at the moment. Not a very impressive day so far, right? We're about 45 minutes into the session, and honestly, I mean, as far as scanners go, we've been dead for news. As far as the movers go, we've had these kind of mediocre moves where we're just not seeing very great volume, not seeing very great movement. It's to be expected. We just had a day off from Thanksgiving, and this is a half day today. So I don't really have high expectations for today. I'm more of a mindset of if we get something great, I'm not really expecting much. Volume is still increasing. Not very nice to see. These two red candles were very high volume. Looks like this could roll over here just because of that. Unless we see a green candle that has even higher volume than these two. But doesn't look that great. Yeah. That pop down was on lighter volume. Looks like it's going red. Yeah, maybe. This last candle actually wasn't that terrible, right? We saw the breakdown, but it was on light volume, and it quickly popped back. Thick on the level 2. Yeah, this is a little thicker. Like I was saying, on Thinkorswim, it says 7.4 million. So if we assume that higher figure is true, then it kind of makes sense this is a little thicker. Not to mention, I was saying this earlier, this volume might look impressive, but for 7 million share outstanding stock, and a stock that's only $1, this volume isn't actually that impressive. Impressive volume for a stock of this caliber would probably be like, maybe like 800,000 shares plus a minute. Then I'd be more interested. Yeah, the fact that these two candles were red and like big volume, that's not the greatest. The only thing saving it for me at the moment was that this candle, we do have a bit of a bottoming tail here with lighter volume. The volume was much lower too on this initial pop and retrace, so that's maybe a bullish signal. I'm not super sold on this though. Too many things missing. Yeah, this is probably just a market maker's dream, right? Like you were saying with the thick spread. This is a lot of churn right now. This volume relative to the to the thickness of the level 2. Right, like a 30,000 share buyer here. You could argue that's bullish, unless we see a bunch of sellers appear on the ask side. I'm actually kind of surprised we're having this many people see the stream here. 39 people. I was actually expecting this to be kind of a dead stream today, I'm not going to lie. I'm happy to see that you guys are showing up. If you're liking the stream, please do leave a like. Help me get this out to more people. I'm really surprised we're seeing this many people. I feel kind of bad. I haven't taken any trades. I just don't see any. I don't see anything worth trading. Okay, so some inflow volume here. Maybe this was a reversal point after all. Like I said, this was a bit of a bottoming candle. It's just seeing these two candles with high red just didn't look good. Plus the higher float, plus the lower relative volume, plus the thick spreads. Like, there's just a lot of headwinds. Just here to listen. Hey, you got to make sure to say no homo when you say that. No. You're good. I mean, I like being here just to try and actually put stuff together, actually observe the markets. I wasn't expecting anything today. More so just to see if we get any surprise moves, right? We had SMX on Wednesday. ONMD, I'll check that out. I'm not seeing that on my scanners. I mean, no news. Does seem to be some volume coming in here. The no news is kind of killer. What's the float looking like? 28 million. Oh, and on Thinkorswim it says 51 million. Yeah, no news. Kind of light volume. Yeah, I'm not a fan of this at all. We had this weird instance too where we kind of just had this gap up. And then just by coincidence, the same time as this gap up, we start seeing this volume coming through. 28 million float. It's still a bit high. Yeah. Was that the float though? Because this says 28 million shares outstanding. And again, ONMD for Thinkorswim is saying 51 million shares outstanding. Yeah, this one looks pretty dangerous to be involved with. I don't think I'm interested in it. Yeah, I saw KTTA made a bit of a move here. Yeah, okay, 400,000. We're starting to get into territory where this volume is becoming more significant. Remember, I was saying, like, what did I say? Like around 500 or 700,000 volume. It would be more in play. What are we up on the day? Up 20%. So, like, this is starting to, like, become more appealing now. We did see that larger 30,000 share buyer. Not very significant, right? Because we're seeing 400 plus thousand a minute. But we're seeing a couple bullish signals. I'm a bit iffy to, like, expose myself to this, but I'm a little bit more interested now. All right, just looking at the move from yesterday. We're clearly at a resistance here. If this breaks, the next clear resistance is at 55. There could maybe be opportunity in this range. Caught 17 cents on KTTA. Good stuff. 17 cents is actually quite impressive for this, for a stock of this price. Right? What is that? That's like a 15% gain or something. That's very impressive. See how this pulls back. I might be interested. We are also coming up on the top of the hour, so that may create some confliction here. Clearly getting some large inflow here. Fair enough. Didn't really give the pullback I was looking for. I was looking for a bit more. And it looks like it's not resolving super well. Although on this breakdown was low volume at the start of it. Looks a bit choppy though. A lot of dancing around the 200 EMA. Yeah. If this had pulled back a bit more and the volume continued to decrease, I was legitimately thinking about taking a position maybe around this level for a kind of bounce back up and maybe a breakout to 140. Yeah, this is just looking kind of nasty though. Right, you had this curl into an immediate breakdown. Very high volume on this red candle. Don't like to see that. And again, since we're going into the top of the hour, there could be detractors that pull attention away from the stock. Market makers in charge here. Yeah, the spread's quite high. I will say that 400,000 is significant. We're getting close to borderline where this is enough volume to overtake this market maker pressure. But it's like borderline. Yeah, no, 17 cents is extremely, that's what I was saying earlier. 17 cents is already pretty solid, but especially on a stock like this where it's only like $1. Because you were saying you got like 17 cents when you were like here or something. So yeah, you got like 15% return. That's a crazy good hit. Should be proud of that. All right, we're coming up on the top of the hour. Hopefully we get just something. Please give us something that moves. Fingers crossed. I mean, I'm willing to expose myself if there's opportunity, but I mean, I just haven't seen any setups that I thought would give me an edge, so just nothing so far. Gotta give it a minute or two just for my scanners to pick up anything. I suppose if nothing comes up that's really good on the scanners, then that could bring attention back to KTTA. A little bit of a volume spike on SMX here. STAI is moving, but it's penny stock. Some volume coming in. Looks like it does have a news catalyst too. But yeah, it's just too cheap for me. Gotta be at least $1. KTTA, we actually have seen a new high in volume here. So here's the thing, like, it's still holding well in this range. The odds that we actually see some kind of move are there. I'm really iffy to get involved with this because there's a lot of issues with this stock. Right? The things I mentioned before, higher float, the kind of choppiness of it. We're just now reaching volumes that are significant. Wow, there's really nothing going on at 8 either. Okay. So no news catalyst at 8 as well. Just looking like a slow day. I'm losing faith. Well, you captured 17 cents with 10 shares. Oh dear. Well, hey, you made $1. $1.70. Yeah, I mean, it's just really this and this. I don't even want to compare this to the other stocks. There's just nothing really. Well, SMX kind of made a bit of a move here. This is significant. Right, we're getting some inflow. Yeah, maybe this isn't totally ridiculous volume. Gotta be really careful with this though, right? $30 stock. This has to be like 1/8 size. If I would get involved with this. KTZA pulling it back a bit more here. Very difficult to judge this. So I would say this is bullish because this volume on the pullback is lighter than this. But this volume is also higher than the baseline we saw before. So it's very difficult for me to actually judge if this is a healthy pullback or not. Extremely thin spread. Right, like a 100 by 100 share spread. That's extremely thin. How did I come up with 1/8 size? So it's mostly just from experience. So I'm looking at the price, looking at the volatility, and just so when I'm trying to trade, like let's say you're trying to make 15 cents a share. So if you look at a stock and you say, okay, if this strategy works and the price resolves how I want it to, that would make me 15 cents. Immediately looking at this, if this made the move I wanted it to, I would be looking at a maybe $1 to $2 per share return, right? That is significantly higher than what I would normally go for. And that's closer to around 10x, right? If I'm trying to make 15 cents and I'm looking at $1 to $2, that would be 10 to 20 cents if you're multiplying by 10. So 1/8 is about 10, or 1/8 is about 1/10. So that's kind of just where I'm getting that metric from. And just intuitively too, right? Because it's a higher price, you know, it can move faster. But I'm just kind of snowballing that idea, kind of giving a ballpark answer with it. That's why I adjusted here. You can see for my half size, I adjusted to 12 just in case I want to get involved with this. I was a little interested in this pullback, but again, it was very hard for me to judge if this was an appropriate pullback because this volume is still higher than the baseline. So very, very difficult to judge. I see that makes sense. Yeah. Yep, that's my thinking for it. But yeah, if I do get in this, I would be looking for $1 to $2 a share. Seems like a lot, but it's actually not that much, considering the range of this. Ross just lost 6K on WAI. Yeah, I saw WAI. It didn't look good to me. It looked so poor. I didn't even consider it. Yeah, it just rolled over completely. No, so when I say I saw it here. I saw the volume was slightly picking up. There was no news on it. And I just immediately rolled it out. Then I was looking SMX whenever it did this move, so I just ended up missing out on it. But yeah, no news on this, so right away that's already kind of a red flag. KTTA, looks like we're on the backside of the move for this one. SMX still going higher. Volume increasing too. This is actually very, very high volume for this share price. Very high volume. Right? I would multiply this by 10 given this price. So this is like this is the equivalent of 500,000 shares. This is actually very high. This pullback was on light volume too. Yeah, this... I still think I want to be patient and wait for a better pullback. This looks like a good pullback though, right? Low volume on this pullback after all this green. This looks like a good entry. I just want to see if I can get something better. Yeah, maybe this was the pullback to get in. All right, I would have got my $1 a share there. I just wanted it. I wanted a safer entry. LHSW looks like it has some kind of volume coming in on it. I can jump over to it real quick. Some volume coming in. No news. Why are we having so many stocks just with random pumps on no news today? This is this is a high number of stocks moving with no news. Yeah, the no news really is making me not interested. Okay, so we're holding near these highs. Feels very aggressive to try and get in here. SMX makes me sweat like really bad, yeah. Ooh, LHSW. Looks like we had a pretty big... Ew, that's actually a pretty big rug on it. Yeah. 180 down to 145. It's a pretty bad knife. Honestly, if I had gotten in here sooner, maybe I would have jumped on that. Just because only 40,000 shares on this dump. And it was probably only half of that on the initial dump. Yeah, that would have been a good snipe entry if I was watching this at the time. Didn't expect it to dump that hard. You can lose $3, $4, $5 a share in one candle. Absolutely you can. That's part of why I was a little bit hesitant to get an SMX on that first pullback. Right? Because I did acknowledge during this pullback, this looked like a strong entry just based off of the dropping volume. But even buying here, just, yeah, a sudden rug. I could see this dropping down to like 31.30. Right, that'd be like a $30 loss, $45 loss, even with 1/8 size. I'm still interested. Like this volume is very impressive to me, right? Spike up in volume. Volume drops as we hold. Looks like we had a fake out in both directions in this candle, right? Fake breakout, fake rug pull. A lot of indecision. I don't like the idea of getting in here, though. Still feels like I could be buying the top. I genuinely just want a nice pullback. Hmm. It seems like many of you are saying we're not going to get any moves. I kind of agree. I think there's a low chance we're going to see a good move. Not zero, though. Maybe a 1 in 4 chance. LHSW. Another move down here. I'm actually going to get in here at 130. Might even add. This is a pretty big overreaction. Try to get in at 116. Out at 126. This volume is non-existent for this rug. $200 shares, holding at 28. I'm expecting some kind of pop here. Like, this volume is just non-existent for this kind of move down. We'll see if we get the pop. $10,000 order at 25. Actually going to move this up a little. Pretty crazy drop on this. Good morning, Gabino. Good morning. That would have been so sweet if I would have got that fill at 117, because there was an order to sell at 116 at one point. That would have been a beautiful snipe. Worth noting that 10,000 share order didn't get actually filled. We're back on the ask again. The spread's kind of big. I'm just going to cut it there at 36. Close enough. All right, so we're one for one today. Yeah, this sell-off was extreme, right? You already had a bit of a dump here, but then to see this big of a flush on like, what, 11,000 shares of volume? 20,000 maybe? This is quite an overreaction. I really wish I could have got that 117 snipe. That would have been beautiful. Still a good base hit. Is this a live catalyst? No. Yeah, a lot of no catalyst today. That was actually an A quality. Well, I'm going to put it B plus just because my entry wasn't perfectly timed, right? I didn't catch the bottom part of this, so I'm actually going to put that at B plus. So like 136. Okay, so one decent winner so far. Way to hit the bid on that trade. Yeah, it was close enough. Yeah, it was like, I gave it, how long did I give it? Yeah, I gave it like 3 minutes for my entry. I did get partial fill at 139, but it looked like someone, like maybe a market maker, tapped it and they recognized I had an order there. So it wasn't letting it go back to 139. So when I saw 136, I was like, okay. And yeah, it looks like it is still creeping up, but I didn't want to give it that much exposure risk. God, imagining getting 117. I'm like kicking myself. I saw it on the ask and I clicked the buy button just like a half second too late. Very frustrating. It could have been the difference between a $16 winner and a $26 winner. Hey, this was actually the potential for like an A plus quality, but my timing just made it turn into a B plus quality. Got to be thankful for what I got here. It's a very slow market in general here. All right, we're at 8:30. We'll see if we get anything that comes out here. See if we get anything that revives or spikes or sparks anything. Small cushion on the day, at least. Yeah, CWAI is kind of curling. See what you mean. I think this was the one that Ross lost money on too. He tried trading it here. We have no news on this too. That's already kind of a red flag to me. Yeah, I don't actually know if I'm that interested in this. Just the lack of the news catalyst and seeing this fake out earlier. I don't really think I trust it. Yeah, let me change my order size back since I never took that SMX trade. ADTX. Yeah, 88 ADTX is kind of curling, but it's just moving so slow. And we're at the lows, right? Like, at the lows of this move anyway. Good volume here. No news on it. I don't know if you were talking to me about this one or the other one. I don't like both. Like ADTX, I mean, we're at the lows, WAI. This just looks like a lot of fake outs, no news. These setups, a lot of them look pretty dangerous. Like, I don't see any like pattern recognition triggering with me. I don't see any kind of like clear, this makes sense kind of moves going on. Like, like you have no news on this. You have a random spike into a random flush into a sudden curl. Volume picks up. A lot of this, it just seems like a lot of noise to me. I'm not really picking up on any patterns with a lot of these. And I'm noticing a lot of these stocks are moving with no news. Doesn't feel like a lot of these opportunities are that safe today. I don't know if it's just me feeling that. BIYA moving. Again, it's a penny stock, so I'm not interested. But it looks like we have some volume. No news. Pretty nice volume on this move. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's been bad. I mean, I've only taken one trade today, and it was like a flush setup. It wasn't even like a breakout setup. So yeah, it's not been easy today. And not only has it not been easy, but I've felt like it's been a very hostile environment. A lot of stocks popping on no news and then just kind of fading off. There's the rejection again. Yep. Yeah. Not to mention on this candle, we had extremely high volume selling pressure. Very weird seeing this kind of pop on lower volume. I don't know. I don't really trust it. SMX, it looks like I was kind of right about the top worry that I had. Right, because I was saying about wanting to get in here, but I was worried about buying the top. And this looks like there's a chance this was the top. Market is going down since the second week of October. We had a freaking good September, but after that, it was really bad. Yep, you've exactly hit it correctly. I've been saying that we've been in this downtrend, this cold market for 6+ weeks. We're going on 6 weeks. And I've heard some people saying, oh, it's been cold for like 2 or 3 weeks. I don't get it, because from my perspective, the market's been cold nearly 6 weeks now. It's been over a month. It's been almost a month and a half now. And when I hear people saying, oh, it's been cold for a couple weeks now, I don't know. I feel kind of like I'm just going crazy. So I'm like, has it really not been cold that long? 'Cause I don't know. But yeah, I totally agree with you. It's been cold a very long time now. This is the longest cold stretch we've seen in a while. Definitely the coldest stretch this year. Trying to think about 2024, if there was a cold stretch just as bad. We had some cold stretches in 2024, but I don't think anything was this bad. Yeah, this is definitely rough. Rough period. See, SMX is curling back up. Yeah, this thing, it's curled very nicely. All right, 50,000 volume on the minute. I'm gonna size back again. Up December will be better, but short sellers became so strong. In fact, nothing's stopping them. Look at S&P, it's going down. Looks like the crypto is also going down. Yeah, we're definitely at a weird stage where just it feels like everything is just not holding. Did it make a new high? I mean, didn't make this high. But yeah, it definitely peaked over this last one at least. How much volume did we have? This is pretty high volume, right? 100,000 almost. I want to see how this pulls back. If we see a bit more pullback to like 32 and the volume doesn't pick up very much, I might be interested. Give me a little bit more. $32.50 looks like it might be holding. We'll see. It's getting pressured. $32.50 might have been the hold point. I don't know. It looks like it's getting pressured. High volume, but rejection. That shows weakness. I agree, but I will also say that this pullback has been on lighter volume too. Maybe I should have gotten in there at 32. I said it too. I said 32. It went to 32, and I hesitated. Yeah, and that hesitation cost. Because it immediately recaptured 32.50. Well, I'm not taking it out of FOMO. I mean, this genuinely looked like a good setup. You had a high volume pop. These three candles all were low volume. And then it looked like it struggled at 32. It would drop down to 31. I mean, maybe. We'll see. The fact that it didn't recapture and hold 32.50 is a little concerning. I am somewhat bullish, though, just because this volume has been lighter. Stop it. You sound like FOMO. The setup is not clean. Oh, I agree that this was rejection was clearly a rejection. But like I'm seeing this lighter volume on this pullback. To me, that doesn't look bad. And to be fair, I called it out before I wanted to engage with it. Now, maybe my reaction to not getting in when it did it, that could have maybe been FOMO. For example, when it went down here to 32, I hesitated and then saw it pop to 32.50. You could argue that was FOMO, right? Because I'm like getting upset because it's like, oh, I didn't get in here. I hesitated. Now it's running without me. That kind of talk, I could see that being FOMO. That's definitely more FOMO adjacent. Seeing a very brief opportunity, not jumping on it, and then starting to kick yourself because of it. Everybody sees their own setups. You'd probably say mine looks stupid too. Well, I'm not saying yours looks stupid. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I had my thesis. It did what I said I wanted it to do for me to get in, and then I hesitated when it did what I said. If anything, I would actually argue that shows more fear than FOMO. The fact that it did exactly what I wanted it to, but I was still too afraid to punch the trigger, I would actually argue maybe I was too afraid. And to be fair, right, with such a higher price stock, there's definitely fear in me with this stock. right? I mean, I think we can all understand why I would be afraid here. This, just knowing, we can all picture in our heads this thing dropping $3. We can all picture it. But no, I'm not saying anything like, if you have an idea of what you think would work, I'm not calling that stupid at all. Yeah, I don't know why you would assume that. My apologies if I said something that gave you that impression. Yeah, this is something that long-term could indeed hurt. Yeah, this would not be something I would swing, all right? I mean, long-term, I could see this thing going from like 33 down to like 15. Was directed at Pier. Sorry. Oh, okay. No, you're good. Yeah, maybe that's a sign to not really get too invested, though. The fact that this did exactly what I wanted it to, it went down to like the penny, right? Because I said, if this pulls back on light volume and goes to 32, I'm a buyer. And it did exactly that, and I refused to buy. Yeah, I think I should just avoid this stock for today. The fact that it did what I wanted it to, basically to the T, and I didn't punch it, tells me I'm too afraid to buy this. And if I'm too afraid to buy it, and I try to force myself to buy it, I'm worried I'm going to make a poor judgment call. Yeah, and the fact that like it had the perfect setup, what I wanted, and then it resolved, like that psychologically, that just kind of starts to mess with you, you know? Because now I'm probably not going to look at it the same. You like the bounce idea, you just don't see the RR with the obvious resistance at 35. Well, no, that was the goal. The goal was a bounce back to high, right? So it was a 1-to-1 risk reward, and I was looking for a bounce back to near highs, right? 32 to 35, $3. Hold it to like 30, a little less than $3. I saw potential in that. The fact that we saw this low volume on the pullback was what gave me the confidence. Or what was giving me the confidence for the setup. I didn't take the trade, so obviously I wasn't confident enough. Right, and yeah, for like Gabino, for you, like you're taking 2 trades a day. I mean, to be fair, it seems like I'm only taking like 2 trades a day too, with the rate I've been trading. But I mean, I try to trade. I mean, ideally, I would be trading 15 to 20 times a day. The quality of stocks has been so poor to where I can't do that. But like that's kind of like what I want to be at. Yeah, we got 10 minutes till the top of the hour. At this point, mostly just seeing if we have anything that moves. This has been a good week, though. Every day this week I've been green. So, honestly, considering how crappy this week's been, I should at least be happy for that. Actually going to slightly upgrade. I've been thinking, this has been bugging me. I'm actually going to upgrade it slightly to A. So this was an A plus quality if I got the timing right. My timing was off, so yeah. But yeah, I think this setup was actually better than I was giving it credit. So we do have the breakout here. I already said I'm not going to touch this, so I'm not going to touch it. But definitely looks nice seeing 100,000 breaking out. Kind of gives me a conviction that my entry idea here at 32 is correct in this scenario. Mm. Pulling away. Wave goodbye. Wave goodbye to SMX. It's pulling away without us. Or at least it's pulling away without me. I'm curious if Ross will end up trading this. Because this is definitely like momentum on the breakout. Ross trading this up 10. Go figure. The moment I mention it, you bring it up. Ross trading this currently up 10K on it. Thinkorswim too slow. My orders just got skipped. Maybe I'll get filled at 36.50. Good luck if you're going to try trading it here. There's definitely opportunity. This is... I just feel there's very high risk on it. But you do have the breakout, right? Clear high of day. You do have the higher volume coming in. So there are a lot of good things going for you too. I'm not saying that this is a bad idea to trade. Just saying that there is very high risk involved with it. I get hammered by setups when it taps resistance 4 or 5 times and then breaks. By the time it breaks, I have lost several times. Yeah. Well, if Ross is up 10K, there's no way he's trading it in the small count, right? He doesn't even have, like, 4,000 in it. There's no way he's up like 300%. So he's definitely trading it in his main account. Right, I would feel pretty sure about that. Yeah, main account? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Yeah. So we're seeing volume drop on these last 3 minutes. I'm mixed. I'm not really bullish or bearish based off of this volume and context. I'm pretty neutral. I think there's a chance it goes up or down here. Can't wait for the recap tonight. Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious how Ross will spin this. SMX, definitely interesting. I'm just thinking back to, like, what was it, like 4 weeks ago when Ross traded another high cap stock. He got over ambitious and lost like 200 or 300,000 or something crazy. So I'm kind of having like flashbacks to that. One more opportunity for an entry here. Maybe. I'm not completely sold on it. We had high volume on these two candles. Could maybe indicate there's a seller here. We are seeing lower volume on these 4 candles. So there's also the argument that this is a healthy pullback. It's 172,000, yeah. Yeah, I'm 50-50 on this. I think there's an argument for going up and an argument for going down. I don't really have a bias here. Okay, nice breakout. Volume isn't super high yet, but it's not terrible. We'll see if this actually resolves into a high break. Looks like it might. Very nice resolution. Very nice. Clean pullback on that breakout. You're out for a scalp from 640, 36.45, 39.17. Very nice range. Good stuff, Gabino. Yeah, I wasn't sold on the breakout here. Seeing how we had these 2 candles where we were kind of topping, I was a bit worried that this could have been indicative of something bigger. Yeah, we're top of the hour here. I'll give it 5 minutes, see if I see anything that looks good to trade. If not, I'm going to bounce. SMX, I've already said I'm not trading it anymore today, or attempting to trade it. So I'm not going to engage with SMX for a trade anymore today. So anything else, if I see, then I'll be interested. Hmm. Yeah, SMX looks like it's pulling back pretty hard here now. Yeah, that's a pretty big rug too. $40 down to 35, 30. Right, nearly a $5 drop in 1 minute. KTTA had a beautiful move. Really, it recovered? I thought KTTA was dead. What the heck? What? What on earth? Okay. Yeah, I stopped watching it when it went down to like here. I was like, okay, it's just dead. Wow. Wow. Full recovery. Very impressive. Just had a late entry at 146, got out at 180. Very nice. What a crazy move to reversal to complete just straight up. So 154s could be a bounce opportunity here because of this high. Alternatively, a safer approach would be waiting for the break of 150. That might be what I do. Yeah, it's what I was looking for. Didn't have an opportunity to jump in. I wanted to do it at 149. Now a second break of 150 isn't as safe. Mm. This isn't resolving how I would have wanted it to anyway. So even if I did get in at 149, this didn't actually end up breaking away. It only went to 154. So not great opportunity, even if I did get the snipe. Yeah, the fact that this didn't break 154, a little concerning. This volume is low, so there could be an argument that we're still going to see a bounce here. I think best case for me would be waiting for a bit more of a pullback on light volume. That might be asking too much, though. Yeah, so no doubt some people tried to buy for this 1 minute high. I'll stay a bit longer. I know it's 9:05, but I want to see how this plays out because I might get involved with it depending on how it acts. Well, the thing is the volume changed it, right? So this was thickly traded before during this area, but because the volume increased, it overcame that thickness. You're right, it was traded thickly before, and that was part of the reason I didn't want to be a part of it. Right, now we're seeing enough volume to where this thing is actually having some kind of range. could be a false breakdown. Volume's still light. I'm not completely sold though. Let's see. We go into 130s, like 135, 134. We have some support here. This volume has been descending. I feel like if we go to 135s, that's a buy. Just hit 140, you're back in. Good luck, man. Yeah, I thought about doing low 140s before, but because of this consolidation, it's making me iffy. I'm too worried that this thing might roll down more. It's definitely not a terrible place to buy, though. I'm just thinking it might go down more. Oh, might actually just bounce right here. We'll see. APVE. This one also looks kind of interesting. We do have news on this. It says 51 million on Thinkorswim, though. It's a higher float. Major strategic milestones. Merger advancement. Yeah. Expected profit exceeding 30 million. So, I mean, there's some cool news catalyst going on with that. I don't know. If it's 50 million, though, this doesn't feel like it's enough volume. Yeah, KTTA breaking 150. So, looks like that may eventually just pull away as well. I think I might just call it for the day here. APVE looks interesting, but the float's a little high, volume's a little low. So I'm not the most sold on it. I'm still green on the day, and I don't think this is like an A+ quality setup, so I think I'm just going to call it here. end the week green. It was green every day this week, so I guess I should be happy for that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and make the recap later today. Probably Saturday or Sunday, I'm going to upload that collab with the other person I'm working with. So yeah, I look forward to that. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for today. Hope you guys have a good rest of your